You don't wake up one day and realize your mother's the villain of your life story. It happens in stages, slowly, painfully, until one day you're staring at the ruins of everything you built, and she's standing there with Bible verses and judgment in her eyes, convinced she's done nothing but love you. Growing up, I thought obedience was love. My sister Elena and I were raised like fragile dolls, seen, never heard, polished, and primed for the approval of men. We were trained to be submissive, to serve, to smile even when it hurt. Books on our heads to teach posture, lectures on feminine humility, and scoldings if we dared question our mother's worldview. She ruled her home like a matriarch with God on speed dial. When I left for college, Northwestern, full scholarship, my mother treated it like a funeral. I remember her standing in the driveway, clutching a cross and whispering prayers like I was being shipped off to hell. "Don't let the feminists steal your soul," she warned. I smiled politely and left anyway. And for a while I flourished.
Career.
Independence.
Love.
A future that looked nothing like the cage I'd been raised in. Then I met James. Kind, stable, emotionally intelligent. Everything my mother considered weak in a man. When I told her we were engaged, she showed up at my job unannounced. Handed my boss a binder of religious pamphlets on biblical marriage. My boss, Macatherian, politely walked her out while I locked myself in the bathroom and cried from humiliation. That should have been my warning. But it wasn't until we filed for a restraining order that I saw how far she'd go. It started with emails, dozens of job applications sent in my name to strange companies. Some of them included disturbing language or false claims. HR launched an investigation, and when they traced the IP address, it came from my mother's home computer. That's when I realized she wasn't just trying to guilt me. She was trying to sabotage my entire life. Ashley, our lawyer, helped us file for an emergency restraining order. The courthouse incident, where she tried to serve power of attorney papers, and the workplace harassment made our case stronger. James and I spent hours signing documents, cataloging evidence, and listing every unsettling thing she'd done. I drained half my honeymoon savings on the legal retainer. It felt like blood money. But what choice did I have? Then came the break-in at work. I was in the middle of a presentation to our biggest client, a multi-million-dollar deal, when my mother barged into the conference room wearing pearls and fire in her eyes.
"There she is," she cried.
My poor daughter, poisoned by feminism. "We're here to save you, honey." Elena trailed behind her, glassy-eyed and slurring, parroting the same script. She's been brainwashed. Turned against God's plan for women. Security removed them, but the damage was irreversible. The clients walked out and so did the contract. $2 million lost. Macatherian found me in the bathroom 20 minutes later, dry heaving into a trash can. "They're pulling the account," she said softly. "Take the rest of the week off. We'll figure this out." But I knew what she didn't say. My future there was over. The restraining order passed days later, but it only made my mother more creative. She started targeting the people around me, calling James landlord, spinning stories about abuse, dropping off photos of me as a baby with teary speeches about her kidnapped daughter. One night during our scaled-down honeymoon at a quiet cabin, the police arrived. Someone, guess who, had filed a kidnapping report. I stood on the porch in pajamas, explaining through tears that I was here voluntarily, that my mother was trying to destroy my life. We spent our honeymoon night giving statements, not celebrating. It didn't stop there. My mother recruited Elena, who'd fallen deeper into their twisted ideology, and her new boyfriend Brandon, Derek's controlling brother, who became our stalker by proxy. Brandon followed us everywhere, grocery store, morning coffee shop, Sunday walks in the park, always coincidentally nearby, watching. Ashley tried to intervene, but since he never made direct contact, there was little the law could do. Then I discovered the email account, the one my mother had used to send those fake job applications. In the sent folder were hundreds of emails, resignation letters, defamation, lies to former professors, messages accusing me of cheating, stealing, fabricating credentials. She'd emailed my internship supervisor from years ago and claimed I'd committed fraud. That was when something inside me snapped. Ashley documented everything for the criminal case: identity theft, cyber harassment, defamation. And still, my mother claimed she was saving me. When the preliminary hearing came, she walked in with her church group dressed in matching t-shirts quoting scripture about obeying your parents. Elena sat in the front row, hand in hand with Brandon, glaring at me like I was the Antichrist. But Elena cracked under pressure. During Ashley's cross-examination, she accidentally admitted that our mother had also sabotaged her relationship with Derek. She called his work, she mumbled. Told his boss what a good wife I was. He got fired. He left because of her. The courtroom erupted. My mother screamed. Brandon tried to calm Elena. The church group began praying loudly. The judge extended the restraining order and ordered criminal charges to proceed. We thought that was the peak. We were wrong. A few weeks later, I returned home from a job interview. McAtherian had graciously written me a glowing reference, only to find the door ajar. James was still at work. My heart pounded. Inside, every piece of professional clothing I owned had been destroyed. Suits shredded, blouses torn, even my Northwestern graduation dress sliced apart. Bible verses about submission were stapled to every item. And on the mirror, in blood-red lipstick, I brought you into this world. I can take you out. Security footage showed my mother using a key Elena had forgotten she gave her. 2 hours of calculated destruction. The detective told me she was looking at real jail time now. Death threat, breaking and entering, property destruction. But I didn't feel victorious. I sat on the floor of my ruined bedroom, holding the remains of my favorite blazer, and sobbed until I couldn't breathe. James found me there. He didn't say anything, just sat beside me and held me until the tears stopped. Then his family arrived, each one wrapping me in warmth like the family I never had. Ashley brought court documents. Jenny brought clothes. James' mom brought soup. That woman gave birth to you, she said. But she's not your mother. Not anymore. The trial came 3 months later. I wore a navy suit Jenny lent me. Elena sat beside us on the prosecution side. She'd gained weight, looked stronger. Still scared but standing. The courtroom was packed. My mother's church group filled rows in silence. Brandon sat among them, still watching me with that unsettling smile. The prosecution was airtight.
Testimonies.
Security footage. Documented threats. Witnesses like McAtherian and James' landlord. Mrs. Richardson, the elderly woman my mother tried to manipulate, testified, confused and tearful. I just thought she was a concerned parent, she said. Then Elena took the stand. She told them about the books, the training, the mental conditioning, about Derek's job loss, about realizing love was never part of the equation. My mother didn't save us, she said. She controlled us. And when Mia broke free, she couldn't handle it. My mother broke down then, screamed at Elena, had to be restrained. The mask slipped, and the jury saw her for who she really was. When the verdict came, guilty on all counts, I gripped James' hand until he winced. Harassment, identity theft, criminal threats, property destruction. The judge sentenced her to multiple charges, some served concurrently. 18 months in prison. 10-year restraining order upon release. As they led her away, she stared at me with empty eyes. No remorse. No apology. Just the quiet fury of a zealot who believed she was on a divine mission. Brandon whispered, "This isn't over." Ashley replied, "Say that again for the police, please." But it was over. Slowly, the chaos ebbed. Work stabilized. Elena started therapy. James' family became mine. We held a proper wedding renewal, Elena as my maid of honor, finally standing tall. We bought a new place with cameras and security. No more back doors. No more shared keys. When my mother was released on parole, she was sent to a halfway house 2 states away. No contact. No violations. Just silence. The last I heard, she joined another church. Told people her daughters were lost to feminism. That she was persecuted for trying to save them. Let her tell her stories. Let her pray for our damned souls. She can't hurt us anymore. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. We tell stories that matter, raw, real, and powerful. Only here on Kindle Stories.